My face is like fluorescent. All right, there we go. What's going on, guys? Hope you guys had a great Christmas. I want to jump on a little early so I can say my hellos because I usually just go off on tangents in the middle. And in the middle of them, I say hi, but I hope you guys know it's because I appreciate you all. So, as I'm getting ready to talk to you guys about a really important topic that I think that most bookkeepers don't really know about, I wanted to let you guys know that we're all in it together. So if you are feeling the struggle right now, I'm right there with you. So this is why I wanted to make all these videos that I think would help you guys as bookkeepers really start to make some money now, because now is an extremely great time to take advantage of a lot of opportunities that you guys a lot of just opportunities that happen to be around the end of the year and then the beginning of the year, specifically because of tax season. And most bookkeepers don't really capitalize on this because they might be timid or afraid. But I want to share with you guys how I take care of my clients in these topics or in these services, and how you guys can take advantage of that too. So if you're jumping on and joining me, let me know where you guys are watching from, because it is, I don't know, maybe about 40 degrees in Arizona. So still cold for me because I'm tropical. No way. I can't do the snow. So for those of you that are doing the snow, kudos. I don't know how you do it. It's freezing cold. All right. So, those of you that have not ever seen or heard from me before, I just want to introduce myself and say hello. My name is Cece Crosley. I am a freelance bookkeeper and a freelance accountant, and I have been for about 15 years now. So, I started the Bookkeeper Bootcamp channel to give you guys tips and tricks on how to become successful virtual bookkeepers and freelance accountants, and get you guys started off on the right foot for those of you that are looking to jump into this career. So, welcome. If you're not subscribed, what's up? Subscribe. All right, let's jump right into it so that if you guys have any questions as I go along, shoot them in the comments towards the end of this live. I will make sure to review as many questions and answer them as I go. So, don't be afraid to jump in and pop in some questions. So today's video is about services that you guys need to offer right now, and specifically regarding on how to pay a business owner and why it's important for us to pay business owners um, properly, or make sure that we categorize them properly now before tax season comes along and before any big things in their lives happen, like loans or trying to buy a house, things like that. They will need to show proof of their payment somehow. And most business owners that I come across now, or when I'm doing bookkeeping reviews of their books now, when I'm sitting in a client consultation, these these topics aren't or not topics. This particular service that I'm talking about in this topic is something that I catch all the time. And it's a big red flag, and it brings in my clients, most likely, I want to say 9 times out of 10, if this is something that they have missing. So, how to pay the business owners. Now, I want to start first off by saying I am not a CPA. I work with a CPA. Her company is called Taxinista. She works with all 50 states. She's absolutely wonderful. So I work hand in hand with her firm, so that should I have any questions or something changes, I've got a CPA as a colleague to back myself up on. And I suggest that some of you that don't already have this relationship start to seek out a CPA in your local area, someone you can talk to, or just reach out. Having a CPA as a friend, as a colleague, is something that gives me a little more peace of mind. So I can be confident in what I'm doing as a bookkeeper when it comes to taxes, and how I can use this service to get my clients in the door and to upsell. Let's start. All right. So depending on the way an owner has set up their business entity, and their legal structure will play a factor in how they are getting paid and why this is so important. So I'm going to, as quick as I can, So go over the different types of businesses that you all might be being a bookkeeper right now for. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, here we go. So the first one is sole proprietorships and partnerships. They aren't formally registered businesses, or as which they most likely aren't. They can pay themselves directly from their bank accounts. So when I say bank accounts, not their personal bank account, their business bank account. So you've got the sole proprietorships and the partnerships that can do that. Keep that in mind. Those are, I always say, like the easier ones. They still get, they, you still have to show that they pay themselves, because that's the most important part. Let me rewind a little bit. There's always going to be two different forms that you guys are going to want to make sure that you have a good knowledge and good idea about. It's a W-2 and the 1099. So for those of you that don't know, look out for my next video. I am going to talk a little bit more about that, and that also goes into play with services that you guys can offer now. It's just not part of this series. This It's part of this topic because it has to do with W-2s and 1099s. So the second one is that LLC owners, so there's sole proprietorships, partnerships, they can pay themselves directly from their bank accounts. LLC, my second topic, their owners have to pay themselves by taking money out of their share of the company's profits. No, hold on. There's still a lot more to talk about because none of this is ever like black and white. Everything is situational when it comes to these kinds of taxes. So let me make a note. So here's my first topic on LLC owners. Now, single members can pay themselves by writing a check or transferring to their personal bank account. That's important. Multi-members, they can pay themselves the same way via check or transfer, but each member has a capital account to which they would draw from. Distributions depends on the ownership percentage or whatever was agreed upon by all of the members. So let me break this down just a little bit. With LLCs, it gets a little bit tricky. Single members are different from the multi-members, obviously. Single members would pay themselves directly, and when they pay themselves directly, they would be paying via check or transfer. I'll talk a little bit more about that and the process towards the end of this video, so I can stay on topic. Distributions are not, all of these are not paychecks, by the way. They're distributions. There's a difference. So distributions and paychecks are totally different things. And that's for the LLC single members and multi-members. Let's see, what am I going to talk about right here? Capital and how their ownership percentage. That's not determined by us. The ownership percentage is determined by the owners and their agreement that they have between themselves on how much one owner owns of the company, the shares. So if you've got 5 people, they all own a certain percentage of the company. That's their capital. Okay. That's not something that we determine. I've come across a lot of students that get this confused. They're like, well, how do I know what to pay them? We would only know by asking the owners to provide us with their agreement upon ownership percentages, distributions. Maybe they have a whole different agreement that's not based on percentages. We don't know, and we don't determine that. They determine that, and then they tell us. We properly pay them according to their percentages and their capital. Okay, I hope that makes a little bit of sense for you guys. If not, shoot a question in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it. Now, there is an exception to these LLC owners. Exception is if an LLC elects to be taxed as a corporation, the rule about members not being eligible to be paid as an employee is null. I hope that makes sense, because just a second ago I said they were not paid as a paycheck, right? Paycheck equals salary and wages. Only if what I had just mentioned, and the LLC is taxed as a corporation, the members being paid as employees is no, meaning that rule no longer exists. The company would pay uh, the their taxes directly to the IRS, and members would be paid as employees and receive a W-2. That's what I mean by it gets a little sticky for those of you that have never done taxes, or that the tax rules and how corporations are formed, and how they're meant to be reporting taxes are very based on their entities, how they're set up legally, all those things. But reach out to a CPA, a licensed CPA, to help you with this if you guys are having trouble with specific places, or specific regions that you're in. That's what I mean by places, or specific, just specific owners, because they can help guide you. Okay. We can't give legal advice on that because legally that's not our place as a bookkeeper. It is a bit confusing. I understand. Let me get on with all of this corporation stuff. Okay, so that was LLC, right? S corp and a C corp are what we're talking about next. C corporations. That's what we're talking about. So let's cover the S corp real quick. An S corp is either an LLC or C corp that's elected to be treated as a special case with the IRS. Shareholders will report their company's income and losses on their personal tax returns and are taxed at an individual income tax rate. That's why you'll see a lot of LLCs say that they're an LLC taxed as an S corp, or C corp taxed as an S corp. Things like that's what we're talking about here. That's where it gets a little confusion. There's a little more confusion. The only exception as an S corp, which I find happens more often than not, is that the S corp shareholder. So this is the exception to the rule that I had just talked about. S corp shareholders who do substantial work can be considered as an employee and then be eligible to be paid via salaries and wages and receive a W-2. If you're unsure, or the owner's unsure if they should get a W-2 as a S corp owner or as a corporation owner, we need to talk to a CPA, look at all the numbers, and then determine. Now, let's talk like brass, okay? Let's cut to the real cheese about all of this and why this is important to us. I kind of wanted to break that down. Some of you can just Google stuff like this and you'll be fine. And you'll understand. For those of you that need a little more clarification, reach out to a CPA so they can help you. That's the only reason. The only reason I say that is because I am not a CPA, and I'm not going to say that what I'm saying you should be taking legal advice. I just want to put that out there. I've talked to my CPA and she's guided me. Now, where does this play in to all of us? Now, owners find themselves in trouble in these two areas, okay? They pay themselves a small salary and a larger distribution. This is something that I come across all the time. And the IRS and Social Security Administration are cracking down on that alone. And it's because here's what owners are trying to do. They're trying to capitalize that distributions don't they don't have to pay a certain kind of tax on distributions, right? They're not getting paid as employees, so they don't have to pay that tax. So what they do is they still have to pay themselves a salary, but their salary is really small. The salary gets taxed. The distribution does not get taxed right away. It gets taxed on their income taxes. So the IRS will crack down on this because one of two things happen. Owners need to either have a W-2 or a 1099, something showing how much income they're making. And a lot of owners have it in their mind that their company made $2 million in 2020. So they made $2 million in 2020. And that is incorrect. The company made this. The company will pay taxes on this money, on their profits. The owners will make what they have paid themselves. Okay? And that's what matters to the IRS, and that's what matters to the banks when they're trying to get loans and when they're trying to buy houses. That's something that they forget. They probably forgot to pay themselves or forgot to take distributions out. because they've been taking out money incorrectly, where you find that owners will be paying bills that are their personal bills with the business's bank account. That's a big no-no. That can't be tracked. We can't put that on a 1099. We can't just put like owner's draw owner. That is incorrect bookkeeping. And that's how they get in trouble with the IRS. And that's how they get themselves in trouble with themselves when they want to say, this is how much I make. But in reality, on their tax return, they're showing that, oh, I'm only claiming $10,000, or I'm only showing $10,000, but my company made 2 million. What happened there? That's what happened. They didn't record it right, but it's not them. If they don't have a bookkeeper that knows what they're doing, then it's the bookkeeper's fault for not finding out that that was something that they needed to look out for. So for those of you that have clients now, I suggest that you guys do a quick payroll review and a quick ownership distribution review. Make sure that things are legit. Add that to your list that you guys can use for upselling. That is something that I utilize towards the end of the year and at the beginning of the year. It's kind of part of the whole cleanup situation. And it especially works out because here, let me see, I think I wrote this down. Okay. When you record your payments, this is something that that a client kind of messed up on. They weren't recording it as a vendor payment. They were recording it under the they put the owner as a sale and in the sales column as a customer. Look out for that, please, because that is a huge deal. That is wrong, 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 wrong. You've got to clean that up. And if that's something that they have going on, because say they don't have a bookkeeper, so those clients that don't have a bookkeeper, or those that have a mediocre bookkeeper, someone they're new to the system, they're new to doing things by themselves, or they had to cut back because of COVID. That's something that's usually a red flag, and that is what I look for right away. So when I do my bookkeeping cleanup and reviews of clients' books, I make sure that any new clients that I am bringing in now, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for how much they're paying themselves via distributions or via paychecks, because they're either getting a W-2 or 1099, or they're taking out distributions, period. And we need to make sure that we're recording them right. Now, anyone that's not doing it, we've got to talk to them about it. If they are super firm on not changing that, I guess there's nothing we really can do. We can't force these owners to do what we want them to do. They're going to do what they want to do. But eventually I find that these clients are the ones that come back to me and they go, oh, you're right. I have to change that. So that's just something that I use now. And that's a tool that makes me money on bringing in these clients year after year after year. So if you don't have this already in your arsenal, please add it now and do your research on that company. Really, this is something that's kind of next level on the bookkeeping services packages, I guess that you could say, or services that you guys can upgrade, talk about every year. At the end of the year, the beginning of the year, you guys can use this almost any time of the year because it's better to catch it than to go back and clean it up. And that's what I tell them. It takes more time for me to clean it up than to catch it now in the beginning of the year, and then we can just maintain your bookkeeping, and you don't have to pay me so much to clean up your books because they were done wrong. Because I have a saying: if you mess up in accounting, you don't just take one step back, you take about 3 to 6 steps back when things are recorded improperly. So I hope that this isn't too confusing for you guys and that you guys are taking advantage of this information. I'm going to check out these questions here. Hold on a second. All right, live chat. What's up? All right, Luisa. Hey, how's it going? You're a bookkeeper looking for work yeah, we all are, right? I'm telling you, I hope that you guys find work out there. I'm going to have some more videos about marketing, things like that. Shoot me an email if you have any specific questions at bookkeeperbootcamp.com, and I'll do my best to answer them. Let's see. Nola. Okay. Manuel Romero, how much is my program? My program varies now because I've changed up how I do a lot of my bookkeeping boot camps that I put out there. Shoot me an email at questions@bookkeeperbootcamp.com. For those of you that don't know, I have been offering boot camps to help teach a lot of people how to um, start as bookkeepers. What it's starting to morph into is that a lot of you need some help with some more specific things. So it's gone to the fact that I I can teach a full class, but what happens is we end up wanting to do more one-on-one coaching, which I don't mind. So that's why I encourage you guys to reach out to me one on one. I'd like to make sure that I'm answering you guys not in so much of a general questionnaire kind of situation. Each one is just different. Everyone has different situations. Let's see. All right. What's up, Ricky? How are you? I hope things are doing well. Hope you got that client that you were talking to or closing on. What's up, Tips from South Carolina? I bet it's cold. Okay, you asked, how can we find a CPA? My best opinion on how you guys can find a CPA is Google some that are in your local area. It's really nice to meet them kind of face to face. You guys can definitely reach out to Taxonista if you need to. But my suggestion is if you want to feel more comfortable with your CPA and build rapport, Google a CPA in your local area. If you are watching this from out of the US and you're international, I would I would I would reach out to a CPA like Taxonista that works in all 50 states. And you guys can, I mean, honestly, Google stuff. Really do your research. That's how I have to do it. And I tend to find that I will get on the phone with them and talk to them directly. I will shoot them emails. And if one doesn't answer, I'll go find someone else because someone will want to work with you. I guarantee it. Um, do we as bookkeepers pay them? I think you're asking about if you as bookkeepers pay the CPA. What happens is, and I'll talk to you guys more about this in my next video about how to work with the CPA. So if you're still with me and you're watching, my next video is going to be about how as bookkeepers we work with CPAs because I always mention partnering with the CPA. So you can either, I mean, you guys can work out so many different deals on how you want to work with the CPA. You guys can drop a different contract. You guys can use them in your pocket and say, what I mean in your pocket, I'd say to your client, okay, I've got a CPA that we're going to do, we're going to go through for your taxes. And you guys can pass through the cost. So we'll charge the client and that will be a pass through charge to the CPA. Meaning, say my client, Craig, who does landscaping, I tell him that we'll do your taxes through my CPA. She charges $500. I'll charge him the $500 and I'll pass it directly through to my CPA, and my CPA will get paid $500. Me and my CPA hopefully have an agreement that I get a kickback. So I get a certain percentage, say 10, 15% of however much she charges. So out of the 500, I get 15% of the 500, and then she will pay me. So there are so many different ways to talk about that. And like I said, I'll get into more detail in my next video. So tomorrow about this time, 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, look out for that video. Isaiah, I don't know if I ever say that right. But what's up? Okay, because you say that's because there is no self-employment tax on distribution. Yeah, only on the W-2 portion, but they must make a reasonable salary on their W-2 per the IRS regulations. That's exactly right. So that's exactly they say reasonable salary. So talk to your CPA about what's reasonable and what's not reasonable. That's where I involve my CPA because I feel like I need a backup. So when my clients are talking about what's reasonable and what's not, I'll take their information. I'll say, okay, you know what? Let me get with my CPA. Me and my CPA are going to look at your books. We're going to review this, and then we'll both, she will tell me what's reasonable, and we'll kind of sign off that way. That way, I know that I've gotten my work checked in that sense. All right, Ricky. Let me see. You're not a CPA, however, I may need help from my CPA. Yep. Okay, some of you, okay, some of you are enrolled as an agent with, okay. Yes, okay, okay. I don't know if I've seen any question. All right. Tips says explain distribution, not owner's draw. That's pretty much the same thing. Okay. Because it just depends on how it sits on the chart of accounts. Do you have one owner? Do you have multiple owners? Distributions happen when you have multiple owners. Owner draw happens when you just kind of always have one owner. Okay. If it gets a little sticky, talk to your CPA. I know I keep saying that, but that's because each of you have different situations. And I have more questions for you. So if that answer wasn't good enough and you want to ask me a little more details, shoot me an email at questions@bookkeeperbootcamp.com and tips. We can talk about it into more detail because I feel like I have more questions for you regarding your clients. Let's see. I want to see if there are any more questions. Abraham says, I'll email you to discuss how to build a business web. Okay, yeah, definitely email me, guys. Um, this is a really interesting topic because the reason why it came up is because one of my buddies is he's a mortgage banker, and he got to talking to me about profit and loss and those income statements, which are the same thing, and then a balance sheet, things like that. He was talking to me about it, and I said, "Why are these things so important to you as a banker?" And he was the one that went on to tell me what's because he's dealing with these business owners that want to refinance their homes or refinance their loans or get a new home, whatever. They're going through the processes and he needs their tax information. And he's finding that, like I mentioned before, that owners are paying themselves $10,000, but they're claiming that, they make $22 million in their company. And that could be very well right. The company could show that they make 25 million dollars. They can make all this money, but the owner didn't take his distributions or draws or his paychecks properly. And it was never recorded properly. They don't know. So now that their bank account or their paperwork shows that it's been $10,000 through the year versus what they should have made, right? And that's where you get your CPA involved. That's where you start to tell them, hey, the conversation would look like this. Hey, client, I wanted to talk to you guys about your salaries, your wages, your distributions, however we're paying you. I want to go over this with you because there is there's a big crackdown with the IRS and Social Security Administration on how much business owners are paying themselves, and it comes to light and is really important for should you ever want to buy a home down the road, or if you ever want to refinance a loan. These numbers are going to matter to your business, and if we're not recording it right, we can't report it right. Then when the banker looks at your numbers, it's going to be wrong. I'd like to go over this with you and review it. If I find anything that needs to be fixed, I'll let you know. How do you feel about that? Oh yeah. Well. So you guys open up that communication line with your clients because it's so important for them to know what it is and why they need to be able to record this properly. If they don't do it, they're the ones that suffer in the end, and then they're going to look at us as the bookkeepers and say, "Hey, why don't you tell me?" Right? As bookkeepers, we need to stay on top of these kinds of topics. And the three that I mentioned in my previous two videos, well, this one, the one before, and the one before, these three services are extremely big now that you guys can take advantage of. And I really, really hope that you do. So without further ado, any more questions or anything, you guys just shoot me an email at questions@bookkeeperbootcamp.com. I do have coaching packages that we can talk about. I am revamping how we're going to do Bookkeeper Bootcamp because I'm finding that it needs to be restructured. So, for those of you that are out there that are looking to become bookkeepers or questions, just you guys shoot me an email and let's get that opened up so I can start offering you guys some really cool stuff. Check out the links in the description below. After I post this live, I will put on links. For those of you that were looking for links or checklists or review lists on previous videos, go back to that video. I just updated everything and those links should be there now. I will talk to you guys tomorrow about the same time. Tomorrow's topic is going to be how to work with a CPA. Really cool stuff. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.